This is Machuka Nyarieko TV Talk Show, where we analyze politics and governance issues. We focus on national, local, and international news. We examine the political way of our people, social and economic. Nyarieko TV Talk Show, the house of ideas.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Merry Christmas. How has your Christmas been? Mine, of course, has been very interesting, good, and I'm enjoying my Christmas as I continue updating you on the current affairs and the political figures who have been making the headings in the politics of the year 2025, which is coming to the end a few days from today. And today we'll want to focus on one notorious political figure, that is Rigathi Gachagua. The untold story where Gachagua's rural strategy could backfire in 2027. Since his dramatic impeachment, Rigathi Gachagua has been a man on a mission. He has been crisscrossing the rural heartland of Mount Kenya, preaching a gospel of regional unity and positioning himself as the region's sole defender. But what if this entire strategy is a fatal miscalculation? In this explosive analysis, we will reveal the untold story of why Gachagua's intense focus on the rural vote could be the very thing that dooms his 2027 ambitions. We expose three critical flaws in his playbook: his dangerous neglect of the influential urban youth, his failure to build a truly national coalition beyond Mount Kenya, and how he is being outmaneuvered by rivals like President Ruto and Kithure Kindiki. And of course, I ask this question, of which, if you have if you feel engaged, you can put a comment on our comment sections. Is Gachagua building a fortress or a prison? We break down the numbers and analyze the political trends and uncover the blind spot that could turn his rural base into an isolated island in a sea of national politics. This is the story of a strategy on the verge of collapse. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into Kenyan politics and current affairs. So, ladies and gentlemen, first, I like to focus on Rigathi Gachagua as an impeached man on a mission. We all know that since Rigathi Gachagua was kicked out of his office as the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, he has turned himself into redemption tours in the mountain. He has depicted himself as the father of the nation, as the defender of the Mount Kenya, but in his quest to reclaim his political throne, he may be building a beautiful house on sinking sand. Remember when Rigathi Gachagua was impeached, 3/4 of the members of parliament from Mount Kenya voted him out. And there are arguments that before he was made to be the running mate of William Samoei Ruto, Rigathi Gachagua had no backing from the members of parliament from Mount Kenya. It is only William Ruto who intervened to have him as his second in the position. Probably because William Ruto understood the prowess, the power in Rigathi Gachagua. These other members of parliament from Mount Kenya may have been against Rigathi Gachagua because of the fear of competition and kingmanship from the region. And that explains why, since Rigathi Gachagua was impeached from his political office as the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, he has been loitering around the mountain for months, for hours, for days, to ensure that he controls the entire mountain. Is he building a beautiful house on a sinking sand? That is the question that I did ask before. Now, Gachagua has put his entire heart on regional dominance, and he has forgotten about the national politics, meaning that he is fighting on two fronts. Number two, we have the issue of the urban Gen Z blind spot. We have had Rigathi Gachagua. We have had Rigathi Gachagua holding rallies in rural towns, speaking vernacular, and he focuses on issues like land, tea farming, and regional representatives. Is he actively quoting elders and rural opinion leaders? Contrast to this, the reality of modern Kenyan politics, the most influential and focal demographic is the urban youth and the Gen Z, who are mobilized on social media, TikTok, X, WhatsApp, Facebook, among others. And they care about jobs, the economy, and governance, not just regional, tribal politics. Is the man really quoting the young youth in the Republic of Kenya? The manner in which the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua has been messaging is words, messages. Seems to be out of touch and parochial to urban voters in Nairobi, Nakuru, and other major cities in the Republic of Kenya. He is setting the digital and the narrative space to levels who can speak in the language of the youth, making him seem like a politician from the bygone era. You have seen the likes of Fred Okengo Matiang'i trying their level best to play about with the youth on the social media. I remember one time when Fred Okengo Matiang'i appeared in Thika, there was a sound by one of probably TikTokers, social media influencers, asking him to join the social media. And the social media is the home of the Gen Z. This is where they sleep. This is where they wake up. But this has been ignored by the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua because he seems to be addressing the rural urban opinion leaders. Also, or that Rigathi Gachagua is the Mount Kenya only trap. Of course, we can acknowledge, or I acknowledge, the strength of his strategy. He has managed to mount out strong opposition against UDA in his Mount Kenya backyard and forming alliances with figures like Martha Karua. But a presidential candidate needs a national coalition, not just a regional one. By him simply focusing in Mount Kenya, he is failing to build bridges and appeal to voters in the Rift Valley, Western, Nyanza, Coast, and Eastern regions. Of course, we have heard Rigathi Gachagua in some occasions complain about other leaders who probably use political parties that are affiliated to the former president of the Republic of Kenya. Another critical mistake that is making, because the former president of the Republic of Kenya is no longer in power, is in opposition because his party lost. This is where he should begin from. He should bring him closer, make an alliance, come out strong from the region as one team. This Mount Kenya trap makes him an easy target for opponents to paint him as a divisive tribal leader. They have been moving from one end to another, including the President of the Republic of Kenya, painting him as a divisive tribal leader. The presidential aide, Farouk Kibet, has been doing the same. And everyone else within the broad-based government is painting him as a divisive tribal leader. And this limits his ability to form the broad-based alliances necessary to unseat a sitting president. elicits this man, Rigathi Gachagua, if he continues like this going forward in 2026, when the poll will be set rolling, elicits becoming a big fish in a small pond, unable to swim in the national ocean. Another or a fourth reason as to why Rigathi Gachagua strategy is dangerous is the Ruto counter attack and the internal rivalry. Remember, Rigathi Gachagua has a strong enemy, a man who impeached him from his political office, from his running mate position. And this man is now, or has now formed, a so-called broad-based government by bringing his former rival Raila Odinga and his brigade into his political position. Although Raila Odinga just passed away the other day, you have seen the likes of Junaid Mohammed sleeping in State House. I mean, they have completely forgotten what they were fighting for. Though I wonder whether Junaid Mohammed will survive in the Ruo Nyanza minus Raila Amolo Odinga. That's a topic for another day. So Rigathi Gachagua is having internal, external enemies, President William Ruto and his allies of the broad-based government, and internally is having rivals like Kithure Kindiki, who is, or who took power from him. And of course, latest we saw some MPs endorsing Ndindi Nyoro to be the running mate come 2027, arguing that Gachagua has lost popularity. So the problem with this is that Rigathi Gachagua is having a war on two fronts. Remember why the Second World War was lost? It's because of having to fight wars from different fronts, where Germany, France will find it difficult, Russia. Once you fight a war from many fronts, you will lose focus. So Rigathi Gachagua is having a war, the mountain, between his brothers Ndindi Nyoro and Kithure Kindiki. The National Front is having William Samoei Ruto. Therefore, if Rigathi Gachagua is unable or will not look at the urban youth, failure to give national coalition approach, and being outmaneuvered in the national and the regional fronts, it then means that his life, his political life, is at risk come 2027, 2026, going upward or onward. What is your take? What is your take? Drop a comment on our comment section so that we can as well hear from you. Continue enjoying your Merry Christmas. If you take porridge, take it in a dose that you can manage. Have a present